For most animals, a crocodile is a real monster that appears out of nowhere, grabs with terrible jaws, and drags under the water. But sometimes the crocodile meets such a rebuff that it becomes a pity. Hippos, lions, and even some zebras are able to turn this predator into a chop in a couple of seconds. Who will you bet on, the lion or the crocodile? A reptile with its huge jaws can be twice as heavy and several times stronger than the lion. And the bite force of a crocodile is about as strong as the Bugatti engine is more powerful than a moped. There is a lot of evidence of reptiles attacking large cats during watering or crossing reservoirs by swimming. Leopards and cheetahs are really tasty prey for these reptiles. And a crocodile can also try to repel a lion's prey if it is on the shore, or even attack an entire pride. But it turns out that attacking lions is a bad idea. These cats are distinguished by the enormous strength of their paws and the ability to fight, which crocodiles can only envy. If the leader of the pride is not caught by surprise, he will be able to fight back against this overgrown lizard. This lion literally drove the crocodile under the water. Still, even this reptile won't want to get hit by this powerful paw. And a few lionesses themselves can turn a crocodile into a suitcase material. Their agility, speed, and group work allows them to successfully fight such an enemy in shallow water, where the crocodile has no advantage in maneuverability. And the claws of lions are strong and sharp enough to overcome the armor of such an opponent in a couple of blows. Other panthers, such as tigers and jaguars, can also hunt crocodiles and alligators. The first ones are generally the largest and strongest cats in the world, so if a crocodile allows itself to confuse a tiger with an ordinary victim, he will quickly point out to the reptile its mistake and teach some respect. The tiger has such powerful jaws that it is able to open up the crocodile's armor even in the strongest place, on its back. The reptile struggles, but is inferior in maneuverability and flexibility, at least on land. But if clashes between the tigers and crocodiles are relatively rare due to the caution of this striped hunter, then the jaguar is another matter. Lions and leopards mostly strangle the enemy. The jaguar breaks its neck or breaks the occipital bones with its fangs. Why? Yes, because they developed such a manner of hunting specifically against reptiles whose neck is too wide to intercept it in a suffocating reception. That is, alligators are in the top 5 favorite victims of jaguars. The alligator likes to attack from the water, but the jaguar is such a good fighter that when the reptile attacks, it does not retreat to land, but begins the fight right in the enemy's native element. That's when the alligator really regretted choosing an opponent. Felines in general are distinguished by boldness, which borders on arrogance. A unique frame got into the lens, where the crocodile is slapped by the simplest domestic cat. This impudence became so unexpected that the reptile simply retreated from resentment and disappeared under the water. Give this cat a like, show him your respect before he takes offense at you. Victory over a crocodile for most animals is a huge success and exceptional luck. But if this reptile tries to attack an elephant, well, here the result is quite obvious. The elephant is more than 10 times heavier and more massive, and its strength advantage is simply huge. And the reptile knows this, so it almost never touches elephants. If a crocodile attacks an elephant, it happens by mistake. Well, I accidentally confused the thin trunk of an animal with some small animal. Well, it happens in muddy water. It's difficult to see the details. What happens because of this error is another confirmation that you need to be careful with what gets into your mouth. For an elephant, even crocodile jaws are just a minor nuisance. But this is a touchy animal, and it will show the reptile with enviable persistence how wrong she was when she mistook the trunk for a zebra's little leg. An elephant can simply trample a crocodile, can throw it out of the water, or can beat the reptile with its own body. lifting it high by the trunk and then hitting it on the water and bottom. You will be surprised, but even a fish can give an unexpected rebuff to a crocodile. Moreover, we're not talking about a huge shark here, which is twice as large as the reptile, but about a fish less long than a crocodile's head. Any other kind of aquatic life of this size for this lizard is a snack and nothing more. But here the reptile has definitely contacted the wrong opponent. After all, this is an electric eel. It can create a voltage of up to 860 volts and a current of up to 40 milliamps. What do these numbers mean? They mean that the crocodile is literally paralyzed from shock, and its muscles are bound by a terrible cramp. Water is an excellent conductor, so an eel can attack a target within a radius of several feet, several meters around itself. And frightened by the threat of the crocodile, attacks again and again, even when the enemy retreats. A few strokes are enough to stop the reptile's heart. Underestimating crocodiles and thinking that anyone can easily pile on them is not worth it, because to put it mildly, it's not like that at all. No wonder this creature is considered one of the coolest predators among modern reptiles. A crocodile can grow up to 13 to 15 feet, 4 to 5 meters, with a mass of more than half a ton. Excellent starting indicators for a hunter, but the main thing is a combination of powerful armor and weapons. The armor is made of durable scales, which somewhat resemble medieval armor. As a weapon, jaws in which the leg of an adult man can fit. All crocodile teeth are curved back fangs, the length of which can reach the length of a human finger. However, you need to be able to use this all arsenal. Well, here the crocodiles also have something to brag about, because they survived the dinosaurs for a reason, existing on the planet for tens of millions of years almost unchanged. Crocodiles prefer the technique of ambush hunting. He hides in the muddy water, waiting for the victim to pass by him. Then, a lightning-fast jerk, and with powerful jaws, the reptile takes its prey with it to the bottom. Thanks to its incredibly strong jaws, the crocodile is able to hold an antelope, zebra, or even a bull heavier than itself. At the same time, the reptile not only drowns its victim, but is also able to cope with it on land thanks to a unique fighting technique. When the crocodile grabs the victim, it folds its paws along the body and begins to rotate furiously along its axis, holding the victim. Even the strongest bones, tendons, and muscles cannot resist such a technique. But even with all this arsenal, the crocodile sometimes gets a good thrashing. Usually, ungulates become victims of African crocodile species. During seasonal migration, millions of these animals travel across entire countries in search of food. The backbone of such huge animals are wildebeest, which peacefully coexist with zebras. It is these herds that are the favorite prey of crocodiles, who are waiting for them at the ferry and collect their tribute from the herd, catching animals in difficult areas. But some ungulates are so stubborn that they simply refuse to disappear into the jaws of even this cold-blooded monster. Sometimes their salvation is a truly unique act. Just look at how the zebra jeweler avoids meeting with the jaws of crocodiles. It's like she's dancing. Of course, an exceptional striped horse is capable of such a feat, but who knows, maybe this zebra will teach its descendants to dance, and after 100 to 200 years, crocodiles simply will not be able to catch these dexterous ungulates. Answer in the comments, were you worried about this zebra, or were you rooting for the predator? In general, crocodiles are stronger than snakes. Poisonous ones usually cannot bite through their very thick and strong scales. As for pythons, even if the snake is twice as large, the crocodile is able to cope with it simply thanks to the strength of its huge jaws. The smooth scales of the snake cannot withstand a meeting with rows of crocodile fangs. But the problem is that the snake may not be twice, but 3 times or even 4 times larger than the opponent. And the crocodile often fails to understand this right away, because the python is perfectly camouflaged, and in a twisted position or by the size of its head alone, it is difficult to estimate its entire size. Therefore, sometimes a crocodile really makes the mistake and gets involved with a snake that is too big. In this case, he turns himself into her lunch. The boa constrictor pounces on the reptile and wraps its ring around it so as not to allow itself to be bitten. And then, with each exhalation, he tightens his grip more and more in such a way that there is simply no room for oxygen in the crocodile's lungs. And when he no longer has the strength to resist, the python squeezes the enemy's body even harder to cause internal damage. It's a frightening picture, but if any antelope sees it, believe me, she will be delighted. After all, the python has just saved the neighborhood from a terrible predator, and now he will not hunt for several weeks. It can reach speeds of more than 70 miles per hour, more than 110 kilometers per hour, at least for a short distance. But this is a consequence of a rather narrow hunting specialization. The cheetah most often hunts fast and maneuverable impalas and gazelles. He is strong enough to defeat wildebeest or zebra, but fighting with other large predators is a very, very bad idea for him. He has no chance against a lion, so it's also better not to mess with a hyena and a leopard. The anatomy of a light and lean cheetah is designed for a lightning-fast short chase, a quick strike, and the completion of the hunt. Massive rivals are not for him, especially a giant snake that relies on brute force. Therefore, if a cheetah meets a python, it will try to simply bypass the threat. He will not be able to defeat an adult snake. As for venomous snakes, the incredible speed of running does not mean that the cheetah's reaction speed is better than that of a flash or mercury. He can dodge the cobra's throw, but why risk it if there are plenty of appetizing and mostly defenseless impalas around? In general, although mongooses and honey badgers have a reputation for snake hunters, cats practically do not lag behind their colleagues and are often the first to attack snakes. They are just universal hunters, so the fame of snake fighters has passed them by. It's a pity. Even small cats can fight back against a huge cobra. The secret of success is courage. The venomous snake has one weapon for that ultimatum. Therefore, the only chance to survive is to go straight towards danger. Therefore, cats in a fight with poisonous snakes do not attack the tail and not the trunk, but aim directly at the head. Thus, the brave animal tries to knock down the attacking rush of the enemy. If the claws hit the snake's forehead, it cannot physically reach the paws with its teeth. This tactic does not always work. In addition, small cats are vulnerable to snakes, which prefer strangulation to poison. This rather famous scene of the cat mom's confrontation with a huge python ended with the rescue of the kids because they were carrying people nearby who did not care about the balance in the world of wildlife. The cat fought bravely and threw the snake off the slope several times, but a little more, and the python would have eaten the kittens. To prevent this, people intervened at the last moment and literally pulled the snake by the tail out of the cat's lair. Would you have done the same? Or would you have taken the position of biologists who prefer the role of outside observers? Let us know in the comments. But where small cats give up, panthers and other large relatives, on the contrary, overcome snakes. The largest representative of this family is the tiger. Its mass often exceeds 1/4 of a ton. In addition to pure physical strength, he has amazing fighting skills. It seems that during hunting, the tiger uses some kind of martial arts that allow him to throw a buffalo weighing up to a ton over his shoulder, break the boar's neck with one blow, or overwhelm a deer before the ungulate realizes what happened at all. Nevertheless, the snake is a worthy opponent even for such a tough fighter. This is a very rare, still black and white video of such a duel of giants. We must give the tiger his due. His straightforward attack seems to have discouraged the python. Instead of cunning tactics, the striped beast decides to rely on something that has never failed him: crushing force. But the python, especially such a huge one, is not a pack of chips that you can just take away from the supermarket shelf to have a snack in the evening. The snake avoided the fight with all its might. She has repeatedly given warning signals to the tiger that she does not want a fight. But the striped one simply ignored the reptile and bit into its side. Then the python was forced to resort to its incredible strength. The tiger responded with fangs. The cat's jaws closed several times around the python's head and neck. To the tiger's surprise, this was not enough to end the fight in his favor. The python bit into the tiger from the side, then wrapped its rings right around him. The tiger's strength is incredible. Even with such a burden, he managed to jump high several times. But he never managed to slip out of the snake's grasp. Well, the python can honestly admit that it was just honest self-defense. As a result, the tiger was never able to get free. Surely during the last stage of this giant fight, he regretted that he decided to contact a snake 3 times his body length. After all, this python is a good 26 feet, 8 meters, of tight muscles. And to save its own life, the snake used every one of them. The tiger could not escape. The python realized that it was overpowering its enemy and did not let it go. He tightened his grip harder, then even harder, and the tiger just couldn't take a breath. The snake's muscles around his torso were so tightly tightened that the tiger could not physically straighten his chest to let air into his lungs. And then the python tightened its embrace even more to inflict critical damage to the internal organs of the striped hunter, who has now become prey. There is also a relatively new video in which a tiger and a python appear to us as such heroes of a western. 2 fighters met on a narrow path. They stopped to assess each other. Who was gonna shoot first? Nobody. The tiger just retreats. And the python doesn't want to mess with this guy either. Hunting is a dangerous business, but it's better to rush at bulls than to try to overcome a huge snake. Smart move for a tiger, don't you think? Although the jaguar is the only panther of the New World, it is far from the only wild cat that lives on the American continent. A worthy competitor to her is the cougar. Although it often exceeds leopards in size, the cougar is not a panther and belongs to small cats. This scientific classification is related to the structure of the skull and vocal cords. For all its size and strength, a cougar cannot growl like a lion or a tiger, but it will be able to give the snakes the same decent fight as the jaguar, huh? It turns out that everything depends on the snake. The fact is that the rattlesnake, which lives mainly in North America, is probably the fastest snake in the world. That is, if you only take into account the speed of the throw. This reptile bites almost as fast as a bullet flies into its target. Dodging the lunge is almost impossible for anyone except exceptionally agile animals. Once upon a time, Indian mongooses were even brought to America so that these animals would help farmers exterminate snakes that bite cattle. But the animal, which dealt with cobras at home without any problems, turned out to be powerless against the rattlesnake. The snake was simply too fast for it. So, in a rattlesnake and cougar duel, it's better to bet on the reptile. Your chances are way higher. Rattlesnake venom has a pronounced hemotoxic effect. This means that it destroys the structure of the blood and poisons the heart along with the entire circulatory system. Even a minuscule amount of poison when it gets into the blood can deal with a cougar in a couple of minutes. Fortunately, there is a mysterious balance in nature, and the more terrible the poison, the more difficult it is for the snake's body to produce it. Therefore, the rattlesnake does not bite everyone that it can reach. Although this snake is not afraid of a fight, it tries to avoid it to the last minute. That's why it needs a rattle. a specific skin structure at the tip of the tail. The masking coloration, which makes it easy to sneak up on a prey, makes the reptile almost invisible even to a cougar. And so that the cat does not accidentally step on such a creature, the snake deliberately betrays itself, begins to rattle the tip of its tail while taking a protective stance. That is, the snake twists the body like a big spring. The rattlesnake is ready to shoot his head at the target for a fatal bite at any moment, but deliberately delays the blow to give a random opponent time to escape. And only if the warning of the rattlesnake is ignored, and moreover, if they try to attack the snake, it attacks almost always for sure. And this cougar acted very wisely. It decided to be careful when it encountered a huge python in the expanses of humid Florida. In fact, in this case, the mountain lion will attack the snake in the head in order to quickly break its neck and not allow itself to be bitten. However, during the attack, the python may have time to twist and dig into the cat, and then wrap its body around it. So this tactic is not a guaranteed success at all. Why does this cougar seem to taste the python and try to bite it in the middle of the body? The answer is simple. It's the first time it's ever seen such a big snake, and genuinely does not know how to react to it. Fortunately, the python is not in the mood for a fight either. Instead of counterattacking, it quickly removes the torso from the puma's teeth. The cat was smart enough to understand that it was better not to mess with such a terrible creature and go look for easier prey. So this time, both opponents remained alive and did not even receive any damage. What do the masters of Oriental martial arts say there? The best fight is the one that did not happen. You can give this cougar a black belt.